Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Child's Play series. Today we're doing Seed of Chucky, aka my first ever Chucky / Child's Play movie ever.
Oh, wow, this one was your first.
Yes.
What a
So,
place to start. Movie number
We have people here
5.
from. We have people. Okay, it's a shame we can find like a younger person who grew up with Curse and Cult. I grew up with the original trilogy. You guys grew up with this duology. It's a shame we couldn't find someone who grew up with Curse and Cult. But well,
I didn't necessarily grow up with this. I was more watched it a couple of years back. So
I guess if it's any consolation, by the time Curse was out, I was just getting into college.
sure.
this is an interesting movie.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, this movie is more well liked now, especially considering season 2 of the show is basically a sequel to this movie. But back when it first came out, it was critically panned, and most Chucky fans didn't like it. They thought the comedy went too far. They thought things got too meta, too silly, and the movie in general just was very negatively received. Like I said, nowadays it's more well liked. And yes, like we have said in the previous commentary, this is Don Mancini's directorial debut. Aside from writing, he's also the director for this, and he's been the director for all the movies since then.
alright then. So Chucky got laid in the previous movie, so I guess we need to see the fruits of that.
Literally.
Literal fruits of his labor.
The rotten apple, I guess, from this weird tree.
There could not be a worse way that you said that than the way that you said that.
First, the only logo where we had to start is actually Rogue Pictures, but fair warning, audience, if you're sensible to flashing lights, your first 8 seconds of this, after we say click, it's best if you look away from the screen. Alright, take us away, Shiroi.
All right. 3, 2, 1, click.
Were Rogue Pictures ever a thing after this, honestly?
I'm more surprised that Universal is not labeled anywhere in this. I remember. Okay, I'm pretty sure, Perry, you told us in the early commentaries, but it's been a couple of years. Is Universal still owning this franchise?
Yes, although MGM still owns the first movie, which by extension means Amazon owns it now.
Oh, so it's a shared kind of thing. Okay.
The first movie, remember, the MGM was not interested in making a second movie, so but they allowed Don and David Kirshner to pitch the sequels to other studios.
Okay, who's plooged over the screen this time?
It's funny you mention that because that is actual literally splooge.
They're literally splooge too.
Oh my god, it's like that skinny son of a mask, run away!
Horrible. At some point in time, I'm gonna have to prepare popcorn for movies like this.
So yeah, prepare yourself because you thought the Bride was silly. This one is even sillier. This one goes even more meta and.
I think I need the context because I'm musically not really knowledgeable about this guy. Who is this Reginald Noble Redman guy?
Jova?
Oh, Redman. Redman is an American rapper, DJ, record producer, and actor, essentially. Interestingly enough, it seemed like in the 90s, there was definitely a growing trend of rappers being in horror movies. Let us not forget how the threat of Michael Myers was ended by the brave soul Busta Rhymes.
Trick or treat, motherfucker. Also, witness the miracle of life. Jesus.
I said music by Pino Donaggio. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that's an Italian name.
Yes, even he's okay. Well, if I have to be honest, right from the get-go, I don't recognize him by name. It says here in his bio, but yes, he's an Italian, still alive actually. Let me check his,
discography. Don himself is of Italian descent, so maybe, personal acquaintances.
Oh, it was specialized in the peplum subgenre for the 80s.
Made in Japan. So there are guys. Little did you know that Chucky is made in Japan, like
Pedro. Did you put us the bootleg version of Death Stranding again?
No, I did not. This is how Seed of Chucky is too.
So
this is the unrated version on the Blu-ray.
So, believe it or not, production of this movie actually began in October 18th, 1998. Not too long after the origin of Bride of Chucky. given that this movie came out in 2004, I think you can imagine that some complications came later down the road.
Especially the fact that, again, Universal is not credited at all in the production of this. So.
Like, how quickly was this production done? It was literally started 2 days after the successful release of Bride of Chucky. See, the reason for that is, like, as we've mentioned, Bride of Chucky was, and still is, the series' highest-grossing film. So they wanted to strike while the iron was hot. The problem was that director Ronnie Yu was unable to return due to scheduling conflicts.
Yeah. Eventually, Don decided, you know what? Fine, I'll do it myself.
I'm doing myself, of course.
In fact,
Yes,
believe it
because
or not,
Don Mancini is a big film buff, so he's always been interested in making movies anyway. So.
I've been looking into
Acquired.
after the last commentary ended, I had a look, and apparently Brad Dourif is now pretty much retired from acting. Like, literally the only thing he would come back for is Chucky.
That's probably going to be the case with Jim.
Voiceover.
That's probably going to be.
Not
That's probably going to be the case with Jim Carrey and Eggman, given how he's more or less retired, but apparently he came back for Eggman for Sonic 3.
It's because he will open an extension for Chucky. This because, as he himself said in interviews, him, his daughter, like everybody involved, they're basically a family, and this is basically a family project, according to him. This is basically. So and look at this way, it was like it's about likely at this point that Don is going to keep making this until Brad literally cannot do it anymore. When Brad cannot do it anymore, that's when Chucky ends.
They're going to have you do this until you're 90. Till he's 90.
Brad's not too far off.
No, he's like 80 at this point, I think.
Don, I see you want to try to homage the first Halloween.
He's 74.
74, okay.
I think I saw this guy somewhere else.
So yeah, who could this doll be? Is it Chucky?
But we saw purposely it cannot be the same attire.
In that case, who is this doll?
Also, weird British family, like.
Did you just told your daughter we live in a society?
Hold on, Shiro. Weird British family?
Oh.
I was under the impression that all British families are weird.
As
they're
told by,
down one person.
As told by Spike Lee's Old Boy.
And yes, in typical fashion...
Wow, that took exactly 5 minutes for the first kill.
Yes, Drova?
And yes, in typical doll fashion, being a doll gives you super speed once again, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Although I guess if this is the titular, seed of Chucky, I get the idea, it's also a special case.
Well, yes, Don. I also saw Psycho.
Which actually is a fun bit for me to mention. See, this is actually not the original script they had in mind. Basically, Don Mancini's original script that was rejected was a story called Chucky Goes Psycho, in which Chucky and Tiffany would have stayed at the Bates Motel after escaping from the cemetery. They would have killed someone, and then Tiffany would have been killed by teenagers while trying to dispose of the body. The rest of the plot would have been Chucky hunting the teenagers down like I Know What You Did last summer. I'll admit, as interesting as that plot sounds, I can get why it was rejected, since it sounds like that script would have completely ignored the fact that they had a kid.
Yeah, I actually don't particularly care for that one, so I'm glad they changed it.
I mean, okay, what this tells me, first of all, Shiro, it seems to be slightly safer now. Well,
yeah, my first time watching this movie, it was mostly audio, so...
Not just that, like, I guess that what he said, at the end of the previous commentary did not really come to pass, at least so far. But, that's the thing, you're telling me this, Jova, basically tells me that Don was going to do the same thing that he did between, between Child's Play 3 and Bride of Chucky. Just almost completely ignore the end of the previous movie and do something else.
My guess is that Don wanted to go strictly into the satire option, and it would have essentially just been, I'm guessing a more serial-sized bout of events.
Alright, meet our new main character.
Wait, is that Karl Urban?
No. I found the reason why Universal weren't involved in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they made the previous 3 movies. They wanted a more conventional slasher film with the son being a murderous villain. But they rejected the script, and here's what the note said: "This is too gay."
Yeah.
Oh
boy!
boy!
Because this is the movie where Don wanted to make the LGBT elements more prominent, starting with this. So meet Glen, our new addition to the overall cast, played by Billy Boyd. And I love how this guy called them shitface.
Also, just trying to give him a hug. That doesn't seem to be how you were acting literally at the end of Bride of Chucky when you ripped into that cop's face.
You can probably guess who this person is. Or rather, this doll is, sorry. Based on the previous movie.
So the movie was filmed almost entirely in Romania because he wanted to cut costs.
Saving cost, yeah. Usual.
As you might remember, at the end of Bride, both Chucky and Tiffany died, which means Glenn had to grow, well, without parents.
Apparently,
after killing the detective, I guess.
Yeah, apparently Glenn mellowed out because he was a pretty violent baby, but now he's one who couldn't even hurt a fly.
Well, to be fair, before they develop their personality.
Kids, am I right?
Of course. Some babies can be absolutely murderous out the womb.
Is this a Christmas movie now? I didn't do that.
Well, the first Child's Play was a Christmas movie, technically.
Yeah. Now
the last movie.
Go ahead.
The last movie ended in a graveyard, and now we're kind of sort of starting-ish in a graveyard. Since we're very early on in the movie, and since Pedro kind of brought it up, also, wow, Universal, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, for anybody in the audience who might be wondering, me and Alice enjoyed this movie. I will elaborate more later, but we did enjoy this movie.
Oh, there's Chucky.
Oh, sure. That's the thing. Like, even back in 2004, I always found the movie. I always enjoyed this movie as well. It's not my favorite Chucky movie, but it's still.
Oh no, I'm referring to how certain things were dealt with.
Sure.
Specifically.
Sure.
Anyway, this was released in November 12 of 2004. Let me check what it was. Oh, 11 or 12. Let me check what it was in competition with. Because budget was 12 million, gross 24.8, so technically successful but very tepid. Oh, there's Jennifer Tilly. Sorry, Tiffany. There you go.
Tiffany. The character's name is Tiffany.
And
trust me, Teo. She knows she and Joe know what I'm talking about. Trust me. We need to make a distinction, Teo. This is Tiffany, not Jennifer Tilly. Trust me. It's important that we make that distinction.
Sure.
And
it's kind of like was it? Sorry,
not saying why, but it is very
and that
important.
was Jason Fleming as Santa.
Oh no! Also, it's kind of similar to. Oh.
This is what you get for not giving me that.
I'm sorry. Did Frank Miller took over the writing?
Well, this is just classic Chucky.
I know.
Also, turns out this is actually a movie, and these are just so basically what they did. They took the dolls, they rebuilt them, and now they're using them in a movie.
If Mancini was clever enough, he will insert a subplot where the producers are assholes to him.
Like I said, this movie is way more sillier and meta compared to the previous one. But notice that the guy, the director we just saw, that's the head puppeteer playing the director.
I guess Mancini did not want to make a cameo for himself.
Wow, this is quite a leap.
That said, one way that I can see what you did there.
Oh.
How?
But yeah, the name of the movie that they're...
There you go, Lonjo, because and here's Jennifer Tilly, and by that I mean the actual Jennifer Tilly in universe.
Like, again, Joe, remind me again, was there like an episode of Justice League or the Batman animated series where the Joker kidnaps actually Mark Hamill or something?
That's the new Justice League action series where yes, the Joker did kidnap Mark Hamill.
Listen to this. We're about to get a great joke here.
I know, right?
Well, there's this Home on the Range movie.
Okay.
But yes,
as you can see, this movie is very meta because they're actually talking about stuff that actually happened to Jennifer Tilly. Go on, Jova.
So yeah,
on the range.
Interesting.
You know, having
hold on. Interestingly enough, the movie that they're working on is called Chucky Goes Psycho, and with that scene in the cemetery, my guess is that's an homage to the original script that Don Mancini penned that got rejected, essentially.
Probably. So yeah, Theo, allow me to recap things for you. There's Tiffany, who was played by Jennifer Tilly in the previous movie, but now the Tiffany spirit is inside the doll. But now we also have the real Jennifer Love Hewitt in universe, who's also played by Jennifer Tilly herself.
I get the idea Dawn wants to have we're in the movie, but I get the idea Dawn wants to have the cake and eat tune between making a mix between Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the idea is that
The
idea is that Jennifer Tilly is actually playing Tiffany. Oh my god.
It's a birthmark of sorts.
Jennifer Tilly plays Tiffany as well as herself in this movie.
And what's even better, Jennifer Tilly is literally playing Tiffany in the movie that's being made in this movie.
So yeah, if you didn't have enough Jennifer Tilly in the first movie, there you go.
The meta angle was one of the scrap plot. Okay, and now we're getting more Frank Millerism. Just feed him rats. Don't eat the mouse, please.
Okay, so now we've gone. Well, I wouldn't say quite Deadpool, but we're not too far off the mark.
Remember this. This was the era of comedy horror. You know, like a lot of horror movies at the time were doing the whole meta self-aware thing. So.
It's not so much he wants him to eat the rat, Tio, he wants him to kill and slaughter the rat.
Oh, that makes it okay then.
I guess
that's so. Alright then.
There you go, you get this shit.
You can say, Debs, that this movie is literally a product of its time, literally, in every sense.
The whole meta angle, you know, towards Icon was, if I recall correctly, one of the early scripts also of Freddy vs. Jason, which was done around this time.
Wow.
I guess there was a collective, movement in Hollywood who tried to do this for a moment.
Just then, I guess they also used some of Romania's best blue screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I get the idea Pedro little sarcastic.
No, I know what he's saying. $12 million as a budget, Debs.
Which
it made $24 million. It made $24.8 million, so it barely broke even. Barely.
And I can tell what people were going to see at the same time because it was the same period where the Polar Express, Finding Neverland, Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason, the First National Treasure, and the SpongeBob movies, also Alexander and Christmas with the Cranks, were released in very quick succession. So this movie was once again sandwiched in between other major releases, and not many people care, I guess.
And the sad thing, in terms of Jennifer Tilly movies that released that year, more people went to see him on the range.
Oh God!
Wait,
hold on.
Again, yes, you can make an argument that this is an M-rated movie for a specific audience, while Disney movies are for all the family. So you cannot potentially have always the same type of demographic, even if his recent cases showcase that R-rated movie can still have enough of a box office success.
So Redman plays himself in this movie. In this case, Redman, who now is taking on the career of being a classic director of the filming arts, and he's making one about the birth of Jesus Christ, in which case Jennifer Tilly is trying to get the role of the Virgin Mary.
speaking of, since we were actually talking about, his his biography, Jova, is there a particular reason behind his nickname?
It's just his rapper nickname, as far as I know. There's nothing racial behind it, as far as I know.
Oh, yeah, I'll just leave it at that, then.
One of the things that I love about Jennifer Tilly is the fact that she's a really funny person who that has no problem in even making fun of herself, as demonstrated by her presence in this movie. And yeah, she's a really cool a person in general.
Jennifer Tilly.
Hang on.
I don't think Jennifer Tilly has ever half-assed any role. Like, to give her credit, she was probably one of the best and most entertaining things from Home on the Range.
I mean, it's not like anybody could have saved that script anyway.
Look, it's like I always joke. As professional a poker player as she is, sometimes I wonder if her losing enough time is what forces her to be in some schlock.
Hey, Jennifer, what was that you were talking about earlier about sleeping with the director to get a role?
Yes! Hypocrisy, thy name is...
Takes one to know one, I guess.
But yeah, like Dribs mentioned, this whole thing is shot in Romania. So Romania will be disguised as both London, England, and Las Vegas. No, sorry. Los Angeles, Hollywood.
I guess lives on the plus side, they're not filming Cardiff, trying to pretend it's London.
Well, that's the thing, though. At least Cardiff is within Britain. This is nowhere near.
Again, the Sci-Fi Channel will be so proud. Go on.
So yeah, Glen mailed themselves to this place,
keeping up the traditions.
Because they knew that they basically thought, okay, maybe these are my parents.
Also, I don't think I've seen anything else from Redman's new filmography career except for Scary Movie 3, which was apparently where he was apparently a background during the initial rap battle. Apparently, this guy plays himself in almost all of the movies he's appearing. Only a few sporadically places he plays an actual character.
Now
we're looking at all the props from the direct. I mean, the head puppeteer of Chucky. Basically, he's the one playing the director.
Jason Fleming, he had some rather interesting things to say about working on this movie. I was dressed as Santa, getting killed by a doll on a set in Romania, thinking, where did it go wrong?
Dude, if you had a problem with the movie about colored dolls, why did you say yes?
Money.
Well, in that case, you only have yourself to blame, my dude.
What, that much money on this budget?
Well, actually, let me see. The year before it was also Dr. Jekyll in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie, so I guess his agent probably is involved in having bad choices.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was a terrible movie. Like, it was definitely way worse than this, though.
No, I'm sorry. So you're good with being in that movie, but not this one. Okay.
Apparently, this is the only film he'd erased from his CV. Apparently.
Really?
Okay.
So he was okay with keeping League of Extraordinary Gentlemen there.
You know what? I'm like, you do you, my dude.
And that's the thing, though. Actors make really weird statements on things all the time. Like,
I know.
I think Jordan Peele. I remember when he said he was in a movie and he'd rather, he said it was a movie that made him almost retire from acting. Yet he'd gone to be in Toy Story 4.
Anyway, the killer duo are once again back.
Wait, like that? No voodoo involved?
Well, technically, he actually does. He does have the medal on him.
Yeah, they use the Heart of Dambala to revive them.
Oh, okay.
Gotta say, Chuck and Tiffany really seem to make up well, given that the last time they were alive, they were literally trying to kill each other.
And very desperate.
They make each other worse.
Again, if they had an explanation... Again, that's... Wait a minute.
Made in Japan?
So we've got a Scottish person playing using an English accent.
They do talk about it a little bit in this movie, but they won't elaborate until the series itself.
Pretty much.
Party mode. So there you go. We have an official term for what the toys do in Toy Story when they just pretend they're alive. Barbie mode.
I think I saw this guy somewhere else too.
But yeah,
this guy's the head puppeteer of the movies too. I don't think.
At least we know why these puppets are alive.
But yeah, it's never stated outright, but my best guess is that they literally took the puppets from the crime scene and renovated them for the movie usage.
I mean, that's the most likely explanation that I can think of.
Yeah, because
otherwise they showed that in the opening credits, because that's kind of what they did for Child's Play 3.
I do get the feeling that, again, and this is mainly going off of the fact that Don Mancini himself was kind of apparently originally trying to do something different. I do get the feeling that the way Don approached this movie was, it's another Child's Play movie. You know the drill at this point. Oh. Also, hey, get it? That's a reference to the first movie where Chucky rotated or something like that.
Love it.
3D! Unreadable.
Yeah, I don't know if this movie got a 3D release.
This was 2004, way before the craze.
See, they still love each other.
Yeah, see, they made up after the last movie, and they're back in love.
Hey, Shira, nothing like a good killing to make up with your significant other, isn't it?
Wow, that kill was so brutal. Not only did their son piss his pants, but the headless body got suddenly magically replaced by a dummy.
So yeah, here is one running thing essentially. What gender is Glen?
We're going to talk about that later.
Actually, kind of right now, but...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the actual Barbie doll anatomy.
I mean, given how Chucky himself apparently did grow a dick in the last movie, I guess it's a possibility. That is actually a horror reference. Okay, so the child here will be suffering
from... Close.
No, it's a reference to Glen and Glenda. Go on, Joe.
Yeah, the child will be suffering from a case of gender dysphoria, trying to decide which way they are. This is actually inspired by the 1953 classic Glen or Glenda, essentially, which was, believe it or not, a 1953 American independent exploitation film directed, written, and starring Ed Wood of all people.
Yeah. It was a movie that was very ahead of its time, and it's much more appreciated nowadays.
How do you think Ed Wood would feel knowing that that's probably his legit best movie?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Tiffany's a big fan of Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't she be?
I like that this implies that Jennifer Tilly just had somebody who looked exactly like her out there. Well, looked exactly like her.
Again, it's all about the humor. Like, see, Tiffany is a big fan of Jennifer Tilly. How ironic.
I checked the company guy called Tony Gardner, and like you said, he's been the special effect puppeteer.
She thinks
she's such a freak. I love her.
No, she at this moment she thinks it's a prop, actually, as she said.
Well, hang on a minute.
She's still a freak.
There you go.
Watch out! LA police.
Yes.
And then the press decide to ignore the murder bit and be like, "Did Jennifer Tilly just kiss the head of a corpse?"
Oh hey, we got a cameo here.
Yes.
Why don't you talk about this one, Pedro?
So yeah, Jennifer Tilly's driver is secretly in love with her, and he wants to confess, but he's chicken. Anyway, to answer Jova's question, sorry. God, I forgot what I was going to say. John Waters, that's it. John Waters as Pete Peters. Believe it or not, this will not be this character's last appearance. Or rather, this actor's last appearance, because Don loves recasting actors in different roles over the course of the franchise. So this is not the last time we're going to see John Waters.
As for other stuff, so Redman stars as himself, but believe it or not, his role was originally written with Quentin Tarantino in mind, possibly as a follow-up to the casting of Alexis Arquette, who had appeared in Tarantino's Pulp Fiction in Bride of Chucky, essentially. But that's not all. Get this. Originally, they had an actor for the role aside from Redman, Joe Pantoliano, who would later show up in the actual show.
Yep.
I mean, he was doing kind of the same thing 2 movies ago, so why not?
All right, to reuse the joke from the third movie, guess what? Chucky's gonna be a bro.
So...
Yeah, last time was kind of painful, I guess.
I think
as an actual second child of my family, thank you.
Damn.
I think it seems to me that the most of the effects budget in this movie went to the dolls.
Well, I mean, good priorities.
Yeah, I get priorities, but it calls. But while it is true that you obviously have to prioritize things in the budget, but other aspects did kind of suffer.
Well, obviously, if Don was given the thing about these movies is that they've always been low budget. Like the next movie is going to be even lesser budget. The next movie is only going to be $5 million.
Yeah,
however,
I don't think we mentioned yet. This is the last theatrical release.
Yes.
Right?
Then the next movie is going to be straight to Blu-ray and digital, and it's only going to have $5 million as the budget. But however, to make up for it, it's expressed in one single location, and Chucky's the only doll involved. So,
driver, both hands on the wheel. Thank you.
Lives his favorite. People driving recklessly.
Allow me to remind you that Don pitched Jennifer Tilly a script where she calls herself a complete slut, and Jennifer's response was, "Hell yeah!"
I mean, she keeps coming back for all this.
Like, Jennifer's totally committed to the role, essentially. I remember a Simpsons gag which suggested she would be around long enough for there to actually be a Bride of Chucky 5, implying that Tiffany would get a spin-off herself.
Let me check what she was doing around this time. Adorable.
That's another good line coming up.
It's fun. It's a bonding activity.
Of course.
Yeah.
It helps us relax.
That's an understatement.
That's cute. She's trying to be the voice of reason, given how incredibly insane she was in the last movie.
Alright, fine. I'll only kill while the kid's asleep.
No, she wants to go cold turkey.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
So that's why this.
They're
So that's
told.
why the series went on hiatus for 9 years.
Stop fighting.
Not in front of your kid.
By the way, it's funny to note that Chucky fainted almost immediately after finding out that this was his son, and then quickly, like, accepted it right after.
Fingers
crossed.
Fingers
Fingers
crossed.
crossed.
Interesting transition. Yeah, I'm checking.
Like a walking AI image.
Oh god. Jennifer Tilly's career, aside from these movies, doesn't seem to have a lot of things I recognize. She's still doing stuff, but
You probably recognize she's throughout the years too. She's been a voice actress in Family Guy, like not just as Bonnie, but also as plenty of characters. Like she's also been in The Simpsons. She's very prominent both live action wise and voice acting wise.
was it an episode of CSI? Huh.
Honestly, it's easier for me to count the amount of actors who haven't been on an episode of CSI at some point.
Yeah, as well as Simpsons. So
instead, who plays Jennifer Tilly's friend? Let me see. I think that's Joan. That's her name.
Yes, her agent, I think.
Anna Louisa Spirit, with 2 R's and 2 T's.
Oh shit, she's fired.
she reprised, like we said before, she reprised her role in Dead by Daylight as Tiffany, and she was Bonnie in the Family Guy Quest for Stuff video game. So again, she's been Bonnie in Family Guy for a while. Oh, she voiced a character in one episode of SpongeBob last year, actually.
Oh, good for her.
So yeah, she's still doing plenty of things still, just not necessarily, big, like main character roles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So they want to do some artificial insemination, okay?
Yep.
Yes.
First, we gotta get a sample, though.
Got a sample.
Of course.
Yeah,
it's like I'm watching Howard the Duck again.
Well, keep in mind,
wait, that's it? Just a flash? Come on. You
well,
can do better than that, Tiff.
I guess it's also the fact that, well, they haven't been in the bodies long enough.
Femme fatale.
Now that's more like it.
Well, I mean, you do you, I guess.
Dreams, it's like that magazine that Kadikros talked about, Girls in Corpses, which apparently is an actual thing.
Oh god, who came up with that?
But now we have the real villain of this movie, the paparazzi.
Of course.
The character's name is Pete Peters, but usually I just call him John Waters because it's basically just John Waters. John Waters is a big fan of the Chucky movies, so Don decided to bring him in for this one.
Oh, they're roofing her.
With a lot.
Just to be sure,
It's not gonna kill her.
She's a
Hang on, if Jennifer Tilly dies in this, how does...
Celebrity Paradox lives.
Fun fact, Redman joined the movie because he was also a fan of the Chucky series at this point, too.
I can't believe it. Again, I can't believe that the people involved for at least from, a few movies, or at least also these onward, generally stuck around just because they cared.
That's what Don usually does. Whenever a celebrity openly declares their love for this, he immediately phones them like, okay, do you want to make an appearance? Like, for example, recently a WWE superstar showed up in the show.
Yeah.
Yep. Because her outfit, her on-ring outfit is inspired by Chucky's clothes because she's a big fan. And Don does basically Liv Morgan said, "Oh, I want Chucky to kill. I don't want a big role. I just want Chucky to kill me." And that's
damn.
Well, Joe,
Jennifer Tilly, most improved.
Well, Joe, I don't know about you, but as a big Chucky fan, I would love to have a role in one of these movies where Chucky kills me. That would be cool.
Seriously, what's the name of the character? Pete. Okay, don't worry with his character, Pete. What's wrong with that? Why do you have that pencil thin mustache? It's horrible. Either commit to it or don't.
The things that go on in Hollywood.
I get the idea Donnie is trying to tell us something about the state of Hollywood. Did Don knew, I wonder if Don knew something about Epstein's Island.
Oh!
Topical.
Yep.
For 2004, I guess. Ow. I know, right?
Are you my conscience?
A legally distinct conscience. Do I need to give you a drawing, Chuck?
Why do you sound like me?
You could say I am you, but a doll. Nice throw.
So much for the no more killing portion.
No. Just knocked out.
Yeah.
It's not dead. Remember, they want to transfer into their bodies.
I'm not going to keep making home on the range jokes because otherwise I'll be exhausted. Otherwise, I'll get exhausted as the jokes in that movie.
Surprisingly, the movie itself doesn't make a home on a range joke.
I mean, the film only just barely came out at that point.
Does at any point Tiffany calls Jennifer Tilly a cow? That would fit.
That would fit, but unfortunately, I don't think so. Isn't it?
Like, and when the range came out only 7 months before.
Okay.
So the movies were practically being worked on at the same time.
I think this child needs therapy. Oh goody, quality time.
Look at that, guys. A good old bonding experience between father and child, hunting and killing together.
Yeah.
The true American experience.
Oh, hold on. I love this one. This is one of my favorite
Oh,
things.
hey, Brittany.
There we go.
He just
Bye,
killed
Brittany.
Britney Spears.
Wait for it.
I guess the only way this could have been more topical if she was instead Paris Hilton.
But Tish.
Fun fact, that Britney is actually played by Nadia Dina Arquette.
Huh.
I mean, she does look a lot like Britney. So yeah,
Alright,
Billy Boyd was in
Let's
this a year
digitize
after.
this bad boy.
So Billy
Looks like
Boyd
the
was
gears
in
are
this.
finally
like,
starting to turn.
Like, so Billy Boyd was in this only a year after Lord of the Rings ended.
Huh.
Oh, remind me who was in Lord of the
Pippin.
Rings?
Pippin.
Oh, okay.
He also
Interesting.
played a role around this time, early 2000, in the movie Master and Commander, the one with Russell Crowe.
So when you get down to it, this is kind of a Lord of the Rings reunion now, isn't it?
I'm Batman.
What if Pippin was the child of Grim and Wormtongue?
Well, apparently Grima Wormtongue had some game since he's got a child. Oh god, he really is Batman, hanging upside down and everything.
He makes killing look like an art form.
Now watch and learn, son.
Duh. Oh, and that's how this paparazzi becomes a superhero. No?
With sulfuric acid.
By being injected with these chemicals, no? Oh, I guess not.
Atta boy.
Oh, of course, she doesn't need to learn that. Now time for a selfie.
Time for a picture to celebrate.
I'm sure, that won't lead to any evidence whatsoever.
Sure, right. Let me ask you this. This quote-unquote evidence is a photograph of two dolls who are killing John Waters. In what court would this evidence be even
I'm
considered?
talking about Tiffany.
How would people?
I don't know.
How would they
I
tie
don't
two
care what the
dolls?
court thinks.
How would they tie two dolls to Tiffany? I mean,
I love they just-
wait.
they
Oh,
just
you mean
wake
poor
up
Tiffany?
They just wake up completely clothed in the bed and they believe that they had sex.
Ah,
don't
yes,
know,
some passionate
Pedro.
clothes-on hugging.
Just like
know,
Right to Hell Retribution taught us, Jay.
I don't know, Pedro. I'd watch Case of Chucky.
God, it sounds like an Ace Attorney case in the making.
Hold on.
Also, it's called dry humping.
Oh, this bit here. 12 steps in 3 days. Guide for the busy addict.
I don't know. I love Jennifer's voice.
Oh yeah, no, she's great.
Honestly,
yeah.
it's more enjoyable than people make it out to be.
Honestly, I don't get what Home on the Range was trying to do, suggesting that she had a horrible singing voice.
Oh, you skipped a whole bunch of steps.
Alright, I love this upcoming joke
this
as well.
bit.
Yeah. Alright, so we need to make amends with the people who we wronged. Okay.
It's a
Let's do that.
long
I
list.
think it's gonna take some time.
Aw, she took Charles's last name. Guess since they did marry.
Don't call back.
I'm calling the police.
Just reopened old wounds, but at least Tiffany's feeling better.
Productive.
Mm-hmm.
You nearly hit that limousine.
Rich people can get a new one.
So what would you say? What you're saying, Shira, is would you classify this as a rich person's behavior?
Yes, this is a rich person's behavior.
Ah, Hollywood. Can't even look at her after she did the deed.
Yeah, you try to ask a woman out and she starts vomiting.
So what's Chunky gonna do now? Plant a car bomb?
You
Well,
know,
that's the thing, Shira. That's the thing, Shira. In South Park, it's the opposite, where because Stan's thing in South Park is that he vomits whenever he's in love. So whenever Wendy comes up and you know tries to maybe start something, Stan barfs.
So I go, wait a minute. Lord of the Rings came out. This came out the same year after that. Billy Boyd and Brad Dourif were in that. So it's like a mini Lord of the Rings reunion.
Pedro mentioned that before.
Actually, that was me who mentioned that.
Sure. The point being that someone did.
Lately. Notice how she says lately.
Oh.
Yet.
Oh.
He literally has a very specific vision.
Wait, okay, what? You know, just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you.
Don't worry.
I get the idea that it's more social commentary about the monarchies of Hollywood.
She literally hasn't touched that knife. It's got cobwebs
Urge
on
to
it.
kill rising.
No, you're a recovering addict. Don't fall.
You can do this.
Just maybe once.
Oh, here we go.
No, once is where it starts.
Don't worry, Liz. As you're expecting, he'll die for it.
I get the feeling they're talking about two different things.
Gee, really?
So clearly the solution is to go to Italy instead of murder people.
Of course.
Can't Romania.
I mean, it's
Man, could
it's
you
probably-
imagine if any
easier-
addiction could be cleared in a simple phone call?
It's easier to reach with compared to if they were actually in LA. Also, how much is that on the table? Like, how much do these people eat?
This is a rich person's dinner.
That steak it looks delicious, but I think it's a bit too much for two people.
Yep.
Even I think that's too much food for two people.
I'm guessing Jennifer too has been feeling rather hungry lately ever since becoming pregnant.
Oh, is this one of those mystical pregnancies that happens very quickly? Like,
well, it's not that it's happening quickly, but
Oh, Jesus! Oh!
Well, if he didn't have a vasectomy before, he certainly does now.
Oh, enjoyable noises. Fantastic. Ha. Jesus. Are we,
lovely.
She literally spilled his guts
are we really fuming?
because it's
I'm guessing
Funny.
because he was eating hot food.
Ow.
Well, wish
Hey, he died
granted.
the same way as the guy at the beginning of the core.
oh, Mom,
It's not what it looks like.
it's not what it looks like.
So basically now, Glen has to keep a secret from Mommy while also keeping her secret from Daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, this child needs therapy.
Glen slash Glenda is having a glitch.
So when you get down to it, this is kind of like the doll version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Neither of them.
Executed Martha Stewart. What?
Look,
Well,
yep.
they did talk about
look
Martha Stewart in the last movie.
Look at that, Shiro. They're basically an old couple at this point.
Oh my god, I was right. He's apparently accelerated.
Well, she did give birth in a week?
Yeah, remember, it's because it's magical sperm. Just roll with it.
Purpose of comedy, most likely too.
I mean, look,
There
this
you
is
go, punchline. And screaming 3, 2, 1.
0.
Here we go.
Right on cue.
Oh, how did it happen that fast?
The
man with
wonders
the
of-
power?
Maybe
The miracle of life.
maybe
the,
you
the
are.
wonders of modern technology.
Hey,
Oh, I guess we enter suddenly into 2003 with these transitions.
This is just a split screen. I don't know.
I know, it's just all of a sudden it happened. Like,
It's Hollywood pregnancy. It's not 9 months. It's 9 days.
uh-oh.
yeah, I stated my point.
Oh, yeah, here you go.
But who's on first? It's the cat upstairs.
For the record, Bound is the movie that the Wachowskis made that has Jennifer Tilly in it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it had a lesbian sex scene based off of that
Bound-
description.
Well, this is a
Bound-
story about, two women falling in love.
Bound is the movie that Jennifer Tilly got nominated for an Academy Award for, and it's going to become a running gag in this series. I got nominated for I'm the Academy Award nominated Jennifer Tilly.
Considering she in the previous scene, she, fell face first onto the floor, I get the idea this pregnancy is gonna have trouble.
Yeah, she was the one who came on to me, I swear.
Hairspray, okay. Uh-oh. Wait a minute, Chuck, what is this?
All right, family therapy, all of you, right fucking now.
He makes a point. You were the one who decided on your own. You didn't even consider...
Consulted.
Yeah.
Like, can this really be a healthy marriage if you're telling your significant other who they can or can't kill?
Meanwhile, the in-universe Jennifer Tilly is looking at all this shit. Lisa.
Hey, this...
What do you want, Glen slash Duh?
Okay, tell us.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the 21st century.
Well, there is the non-binary option if you,
Yeah, that. Well,
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Isn't non-binary and gender fluid a bit different from each other?
There are some
Yes.
differences, yes, in that regard.
So yeah, sometimes they're Glen, sometimes they're Glenda, basically.
This was in 2004, by the way.
Again,
Well,
sir,
remember-
according to Universal, it was too gay.
No, I'm more so referring to the people who are like, oh, this thing that cropped up within the last 2 years. No.
This was 20 years ago.
Remember, this is not to mention, this is the direct reference to, once again, like Jova said, Glen or Glenda. That's kind of the point.
Oh, I get it. They're Glender fluid.
Oh
Hey!
my god.
You know what? You know what? That will be the term that we'll be using from now on. Because
Also,
it's
did
perfect.
Did Chuck just stop for red? No, sorry, did Tiffany just stop for red?
Well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay. Do you really not like his rap that much? It's a bit much, isn't it?
And yeah, that does provide a problem, though. Now Chucky can't inhabit the body of Redman.
Well, remember,
That's fine. We'll just get him Keanu Reeves.
Well, remember though, it's just like you, just like you, Tiffany didn't like that comment that Redman made about pregnant women.
Oh, this bit. Tell me you'd be listening to that and being able to resist it.
To be fair, it is Jennifer Tilly.
Oh wow, we
Exactly.
literally cut. We literally cut him within bound. I guess we wanted to skip the formalities.
By the way, Stan, when I said I need your body, I meant that literally.
You know, this isn't what I thought you meant when you said you wanted to get it into bondage.
Alright, so now we're going to have a landmark moment in Chucky, the franchise that's going to, change how things are from this point on.
Which is a funny thing. Like, despite how much people may have hated this movie at the time, they actually did still stick with this, which is more than can be said for Chucky 3. Sorry, Child's Play 3.
Hey, do you think, as an aside, that Tiffany became obsessed with killing when Chucky took down her mother?
Would not surprise me.
Let's be honest, Tiffany, you are a bit hypocritical.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the entire point of her character. She wants to be better, but she has actually genuine relapses.
That's kind of been her
Yeah.
thing since Bride, where Tiffany definitely considers her kills more justified more often than not.
Whereas
Like
Chucky
said,
doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. I hate to go all cinema sins, but she used the key to the house. Why did the alarm sensor go off?
That's actually a good question. I don't know why.
Oh,
It
well-
is-
Well, it depends on what kind of alarm Jennifer Tilly has. Like, it could be a little motion censored one. Like, my house used to have that sort of type where, it would go off if you moved past it. And of course, you would just turn it off if you knew the code.
Okay then. We'll go with that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What a sight to come in on.
It's a trap. It's behind me, isn't it? Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
Improvised flamethrower.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely make sure to, again, like with Bride of Chucky, they do not disappoint with the kills.
Mhm.
I thought you
And
were
it doesn't
going.
really. But hey, even those that don't really deserve it can get killed in such a brutal
I
fashion.
thought that John was going to be the final girl,
Oh,
the one
that's a
survivor of this movie.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
Literally.
Literally.
It'll be amazing if Jennifer Tilly comes out of this not being accused of murder.
But hold on.
Like a century or so.
What?
Nope. Guess again, Chuck. Exactly.
So here's the irony. Whereas Chucky wanted a son, but wasn't as violent as him, Tiffany wanted a daughter. So, ironically, it's the daughter side of Glen / Glenda who turns out to be murderous just the way Chucky wanted.
I guess this is still also connected slightly to the themes of the original, pitch about Psycho. It's true, actually.
Factually true.
That's actually
True,
true.
yeah, when you get down to
I
it,
can't believe that the worst person you know just made a point.
like, when you get down to it, Charles did technically raise the kid more.
Well, Billy was sounding like he had a lot of fun at least.
Oh no, Billy's still in the franchise, Dubs.
I mean, I'm pretty sure his career did not do that much aside from the two movies I mentioned, unfortunately, and these.
Let me check and see.
I mean, again, technically speaking, he appeared in movies, but nothing that I can. Oh, wait, he was in the Loud House movie, I guess.
Oh, he
and
was also
like
in The Hobbit.
Well, like I mentioned, when we commented on the movie, he co-wrote and performed the song that is in the credits of the last movie. He's an accomplished singer, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, a puppet with dissociative identity disorder, and their Glender fluid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that the chauffeur is just very confused right now.
He was in love with Jennifer, and now there's two Jennifers. One a literal doll.
Okay, well, I will say these things were close. This is the climax close to the end of the movie. Ironically enough, this movie, despite everything, and then I'm gonna mention some of the final thoughts. These climax of the movie start to resemble more a traditional slasher compared to the previous movies. As in being stuck in one location, mostly a house, having people being tied up and then murdered one by one.
Mm-hmm.
But wait a minute.
I think you overdid it.
We're not done here yet.
Remind me again of the date. When was the date when J-Lo had twins?
I forgot.
Because if it was around this time, they might want to satirize that.
Probably. But I don't know if it was around this time. So yeah,
Where do you keep getting all those cloths?
a boy and a girl.
Comedy, Jay. Purpose of comedy.
But that's fine.
I've got 3 children now all of a sudden.
Convenient, we had both a blue and a
Technically
pink
4.
blanket.
Yeah. 4, actually.
Alright, let's do this shit again. I guess the police is still got involved, but otherwise there's virtually no one left to stop them this time.
Exactly. How convenient.
Oh, goody.
Now here's a landmark moment.
Well, to be fair, Tiff, he's been at this longer than you have.
Okay. Priorities.
Let's be honest, you can barely get it up as is.
Fair.
See, now he could have been famous as
there you
Redman.
go.
I got a spot in Dead by Goddamn Daylight!
Not can get much more meta than that.
So...
So there you go. From this point on, Chucky will embrace his killer doll identity. He doesn't care about being human anymore.
I guess the idea also is a way to try not to rehash the same type of plotline for subsequent movies.
It is interesting given what happens at the end of Cult of Chucky, but, you know, I'm guessing they may have thought, hey, we can have our cake and eat it in that one.
Well, what's happening in Cult is a bit different, but yeah, we'll get there.
Divorce is such a messy thing.
No,
He loved her so much, he took the knife
not
for
John.
her.
Not John. Stan!
Him.
Discount Keanu Reeves.
Stan, please tell me before you die.
Wow.
Tubular, man. Chucky's pulse, Yugi. Sorry, her pulse.
Well, on the plus side, there is absolutely no way that Jennifer Tilly could be the killer in this case.
Yeah, this is probably not how you were thinking the day was going to happen, but both of you.
Imagine being the cop who has to report, I saw Jennifer Tilly in post-birth surrounded by dead people.
You're writing tickets for the next 3 weeks. Oh, is this our agent?
Look, Jennifer, we did a, blood test on them, and for some reason your babies share the DNA of one Charles Lee Ray who has been dead for years now. You haven't been grave robbing, have you?
No.
Oh, thank God, I thought you were into that.
No,
But yeah,
Bob Graves.
So yeah, Tiffany and Glen / Glenda are here to finish the job.
Tiffany does still want to be Jennifer Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she just gave birth to 2 kids, has killer dolls try to kill her, and Bro's like, hey, so when are you going back to work?
Jennifer Tilly is just
this
that
how it
awesome.
works?
Jennifer Tilly is just that awesome, she right?
I'm not sure how this is. I'm not sure this is how it works.
No, not really.
So what are they injecting her with now?
Wow. Dwibs, you're not sure that this is how the magical sperm pregnancy from a doll works? What a shock!
Pray tell, Dwibs. By all means, I don't know, because explain to me, how does magic doll pregnancy work?
I'd imagine a lot less complicated than that, but she didn't even inject it right.
And that was Dwibs' TED Talk on magical doll pregnancies.
Wait for it.
Here's Chucky.
Hold on to. Wait for it.
Oh, come on!
You know,
that would have been
You
too
got
easy.
reference cockblocked.
You know, given how there are cameras all over the hospital, I can only imagine that the attending nurses must think that they are beyond drunk right now seeing this.
Underage Chucky. Fantastic.
Well, he does legit.
Taking till death do you part real seriously now.
He does.
It's actually this particular trait of his, the nobody leaving. This will come back in the next movie. Actually, this is something that is a definite character trait of his. He doesn't allow anyone to leave him. Yeah, whatever. Just
Oh, the single sexy tear.
oh.
You killed my mom.
You
Dig it in just a little bit harder, serial killer.
Actually, Dwibs. Thank you, mother in Japanese, of course.
Oh, see, the blood mimics something similar to a tear. It's the Vision Dawn, of course.
So now the kid unlocks his ninja Japanese powers.
Sure, why not?
And then Jennifer Tilly wakes up and is like, "What the hell am I watching here?"
But don't you see, it's a doll made in Japan, therefore it knows martial arts. That's totally how it works. See?
I mean,
When did this become Team America World Police?
Oh my god, I was kind of reminded of that too.
That came out the same year.
Hey, Dad, terrorize this.
It came out a month before this film did, actually.
Killed by my own son. Oh.
he probably would be proud.
So decapitation, might as well finish that.
A proud
Finish
father.
him!
Yep. Fatality.
You know, I just realized, despite his demand for a boy, he also accepted that Glen was gender fluid.
Yeah,
That's part of it, Jay.
The arc.
Chucky is perfectly fine with Glenda being Glender fuel.
So, Miss Tilly, you're here, surrounded by the bodies of 2 dead dolls comforting this one doll. How are you going to explain this to people?
Well, to give you an idea,
serial killer, not an asshole.
To give you an idea, Jay, here's a sneak peek for the TV show. There's a joke in the first season where and you're okay with your child being that? And he's like, I'm not a monster, Jake.
5 years later.
So you can commit all the horrific violence you want, just don't be.
The TV series is awesome. Definitely watch it, but watch the movies first because the TV show follows from the last movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also I was about to wonder, do the children, come into play for later too?
Yes, season 2 of the show. Season 2 of the show is kind of a sequel to this movie, kind of, in a lot of ways.
Just like her father.
In fact, for the season 2 show, Don went out of his way to get trans people to play the characters. There you go.
She literally beat her to death with her old body.
Yes, Don, I've seen the Goosebump episodes with Slappy.
So yes, a doll finally did it. Managed to do the transfer.
Which means, I guess, the OG in universe Jennifer Tilly is dead. Oh no.
Put a pin on that for now too, if you don't mind.
Crisis on Infinite Jennifer Tilly's, of course.
Yeah.
So is Jennifer Tilly completely whole or even less of a woman now?
Eh?
I'm not entirely certain what is that question supposed to mean.
Because the character Jennifer Tilly has fused into the actress Jennifer Tilly, so it's double Jennifer Tilly or less Jennifer Tilly.
It's Jennifer
Which
Tilly
one?
squared.
I'm too sober for this conversation, Jay.
Now you know I had to drink for
4D Jennifer Tilly.
Sure.
I love that one.
Wait until they meet another character who gets thrown into Jennifer's life.
Yeah. I'm not a bad person. I just do bad things.
Yeah, I was wondering when we would get to see Glen.
There you go. So Glen and Glenda.
And
The
both
red hair.
children,
Gross.
yeah, both inherited the red hair
Redheads.
of Charles.
Yep.
Lovely family
we end
photo.
with a
Glenn still treasures that memory despite everything. That's nice.
To be fair, again, Chucky actually straight up spent time with his son. Like, was proud and everything. Oh, here we go again.
Doesn't say, huh?
And yeah, people in this series keep accepting anonymous gifts.
Oedipus
Daddy's home.
spirit.
You'll see, Dwebs.
Oh no.
They'll be fine.
Just
he'll be
fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So, no post-credit scene. Oh, actually, no. There's
Hold on.
something. Bloopers, I guess.
Basically.
Tony God.
Jennifer Tilly!
We have 80 style credits.
With this song.
Also Jennifer
And of course, they had to take that
Tilly.
opportunity
Also Jennifer
to show
Tilly.
you doll titty again.
Wait, Jennifer Tilly was in this movie?
Twice!
I didn't-
if
I
you can
didn't
believe
notice.
that.
Redman as
Do you
himself.
think Jennifer Tilly got double pay for her appearance in the movie?
Oh, well, considering the budget of this movie, I get the idea Jay wasn't still that much.
Jennifer Tilly's still in this franchise, not for the money. She's in it because she loves being in it.
Oh, that's nice for you to give the maid the maid role an actual time bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I've just finished Seed of Chucky, and the film, and Amazon Prime's tried to recommend me The Big Short, a movie that has absolutely nothing to do with Chucky.
Remember, Dweebs, I forgot which year, we were seeing like another horror movie or something, and Netflix recommended you Kiki's Delivery Service afterward.
Yeah, streaming services are weird.
The algorithm specifically.
Yeah,
Billy Boyd.
Like I could have, like, what's going to be next? We're going to watch Halloween, and then it's going to recommend the Thomas the Tank Engine movie.
Possible. And of course, the big star himself.
Or bits of him.
It's kind of funny to consider him the big star.
Finally,
He actually had less time and screen time than the son.
That's what the next movie's for.
well, it
Jay.
is called Seed of Chucky, after all.
Yeah, technically,
Alright,
Glen and Glenda are the main characters. This movie called Seed of Chucky. All right, then that was Seed of Chucky. Dibs, final thoughts?
Okay, going this quickly is an interesting choice. I do think some bits were funny, other bits weren't. The effect work on the dolls was really good, but some of the other effects not.
What other effects really were there aside from the doll stuff?
Remember the head, the
blue
director and
screen,
stuff
also
like
the blue
Oh,
screen.
The blue
Yeah.
screen and
I guess those are so minor and not as much use that I don't notice them as well. But okay, fair beans.
I noticed it. I think they did a decent job of hiding Romania and pretending it's Britain and Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I could still recognize there's some Soviet era blocks here and there.
Would you say, Dwibs, that they did Cardiff proud in disguising it as another place?
Cardiff wishes it had the disguise ability of Romania. There's my hot take. Doctor Who should film in Romania now. With a leap, I know, but I don't think the BBC or Disney can afford that. But hey, why not? Anything else I could mention?
The music.
What did you think of the acting? Do you think Billy Boyd, aka Glen / Glenda, are good additions?
Well, I barely noticed the music to answer Jover's question, and Billy. I'm glad Billy Boyd sounded like he was having a lot of fun voicing the roles. And in terms of how it, I can't say I have much experience in watching gender fluid people portrayed in media. But this one's portrayed as fine.
I can tell that the LGBT community really likes this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they do. It's just, again, I don't have that much experience. I can't really judge too much. Maybe if future films do something like this, I could say more.
All right.
Anything else, Libs?
No, that's it. I mean, I think this one's a bit of a mixed bag. Some parts it's meant to be a more comedic horror movie. Some parts are funny, some aren't. And you could definitely tell it was Mancini's first shot as a director.
May have been his only one. Did he direct anything else after this?
No, he did all the rest after this.
Curse and Cult,
yeah,
and
he
also
did direct
some
those.
episodes of the show. Yeah. Well, Devs, if it helps you, the next movie, because of the complaints, Curse of Chucky is going back to the straightforward horror of the first two movies.
We'll have to wait 9 years for that, though.
Yep.
All right, I'll see you in 9 years' time then for the next movie.
Jay, you're up.
You think after 5 movies the formula would get tired, but it's kind of surprising. This one isn't as good, in my opinion, as Bride of Chucky, but it's still very fun. It carries itself. At this point in time, it knows very well what kind of formula it's going for, and it mixes comedy and horror well enough that even when introducing new characters like Glen, Glenda, it gives them a proper role in the spotlight and kind of naturally adds them into the cast. It's fun, it's wild, and it's really cool in changing up the formula and actually having a successful ritual transfer. So, kudos for Tiffany, now becoming her full Jennifer Tilly. I can easily see how this became, the series became a television series. And if all of these 5 were as fun as it is, not including the reboot of it, I hope the 6th one also goes very well. I think I might actually be looking forward to Cult of Chucky.
Cult's the 7th, but given how we usually do this, we'll probably cover Curse and Cult next year.
Wait, there's a 7th?
Yes.
I thought it was just the 6th. Wow.
No, there is a 7th.
There's 7 movies, and then there's a full-blown series, which, to my understanding, is still going at the time of this recording.
Yep.
And it's very good.
It is.
But yeah,
I'm in charge. So.
But yeah, I'm still impressed that the series has not grown stale, running the same formula that it had originally given for itself, and it still managed to shake it up. Still kind of surprised that Andy hasn't reappeared yet, but I've been told to put a pin on it, and I'm just waiting for it to come down.
Don't worry, Jay, next year.
Yeah, still though, well done. I think this one would get the silver roll in the group of 6 that we've watched so far. As to my level of favorites, and I'm glad that the formula can still keep itself on the high. Here's to hoping for Curse of Chucky.
Go on, Jova.
Yeah, no, I love this movie back as a kid, and I still really like it now. Now, compared to Bride, it's tough to say. I do feel like Bride's a bit more tightly made than this, essentially. And I can get how the meta aspects may throw some people off. I also do get how Chucky kind of changing his motivation may have rubbed some people the wrong way. I do feel like they eased into things with the following movies regarding that, but in a way I also get it. I would say I do consider this and Bride of Chucky to go hand in hand as, again, being my favorite movies of the bunch so far, essentially. It'll be interesting going back to Curse and Cult to see if I still like those movies. Maybe not as much as these, but hey, you know, I can assure you that, like, the future of the franchise is intact as it is. But, yeah, Seed of Chucky. It's a very risque, but also very progressive movie for its time. And not in, like, you know, just a schlocky way, but I mean, like, one where there's actual substance to it. I dig that. Like with Bride, they had another great character addition with Glen and Glenda, essentially. 2 sides of one very, very twisted coin. Regardless, though, great character additions once again. And hey, now Jennifer Tilly herself is officially part of the universe. The only way we could top this is if Brad Dourif joins the universe.
Unfortunately, it won't. Well, technically, yeah, I guess. But we'll see.
We'll see. The movie is good cheese and fun. Again, I also feel like it balances the tone relatively well enough. Yes, this is probably the most tongue-in-cheek these things will get, aside from the series, essentially. But again, I feel like that is actually playing to the series' strengths, because, look, you're a movie about a killer doll. I'm not saying that that can't be taken seriously, but after 5 movies, especially with 2 and 4, and to a lesser extent 3 kind of taking the piss. Again, 3 was trying to move away, but that really didn't work out well. But regardless, one could argue that the movies were more or less taking the piss even from the start, essentially. So, to me, this feels like a natural evolution, essentially. Could it have maybe been a bit more balanced? Maybe, but I still just consider it good and non-stop fun. And I'm glad to see that it's been vindicated by history, not just by the fan base, but by moviegoers in general, given, you know, again, it was well ahead of its time, essentially. Once again, Jennifer Tilly is a delight. Brad Dourif knocks it out of the park, as per usual. Billy Boyd is great. And, you know, even Jason Fleming for his little bits. Seriously, I don't get how he sees this as a bigger embarrassment than League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but like Dwib said, you do you, good sir. That said, it seems like for the most part the cast all seem to have good fun with this. And really, what more can I ask for? Well, okay, it is a shame that this movie was a box office bomb. Part of me wonders if that is due to it being placed in not the best timing of the year, given what it was sandwiched in between.
There is something else that I discovered in the meantime, Jova, as in tied to movies that came out around the time, but I want to save that for my final thoughts. My point is, you're kind of on the right track, I think.
It is a shame, because I feel like in a universe where this movie had done well, we wouldn't have had to have waited 9 years for the next movie. And then there was that weird thing where they did the reboot. Look, as I've established, I may be the only one of the team here who is okay with a reboot, but even I'm confused with when the reboot came about, since the reboot came about at a time where, if I recall correctly, that was after the original series had been revived, essentially.
Did we speculate if it was for, a rights issue, as in a company wanted to do something to keep the rights onto the property?
Yes, MGM wants to keep the rights to the original film.
Oh, is that why they...
because of that, Vendra.
Wait, so MGM were the ones who made the reboot?
Yes, because they have the rights to the original film, therefore they can remake it.
So let me get this straight. Universal technically, I guess, owned the original timeline at this point, but MGM were trying to use the reboot to establish their domain using the original movie. And this is yet another example of why I hate how convoluted copyright law is these days.
And remember, one of the big reasons I also dislike the reboot is because, remember, it was originally just going to be Don involved, and it was going to be a revival of the original Blood Buddy script that Don wrote before Tom Holland completely overhauled it, right? It was meant to be a return to that original Blood Buddy idea. So it would have been really cool to finally see that original idea finally realized. But no, of course not.
Stuff happened. Stuff got messy.
MGM wouldn't allow Don to do things this way. They wanted something that was more like a proper remake that was more, nostalgic and more similar to how things are.
And yet more modern because of involvement in AIs.
Yeah. So basically, Don decided, okay, fine, you guys do it, but I'm not going to be involved. And he went back to making Curse of Chucky.
Like I said, I'm personally fine with the reboot, and I am surprised it didn't get a sequel since it was technically a success, but I am perfectly fine with us getting what we actually got with the Chucky series. And it is pretty messed up what happened with that reboot. Regardless, though, let me not get too far off track here. The point is, I still do love Seed of Chucky. Maybe not as much as Bride of Chucky, but if I were to consider these like the Tiffany duology, since sadly she's going to take a bit of a back seat after these movies, yeah, still my favorite era of the series, essentially. I haven't seen the TV series yet, so that may be due to change when we eventually cover those.
All right, before the next person actually tells their final thoughts, I have actually, something to mention that I did mention I was looking into. They were technically comic adaptations, yes, of his franchise, but compared to stuff like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, or other horror franchise, it was shockingly little, compared to that. There was a comic adaptation of Child's Play 2, all the way from Innovation. Then an original miniseries, I think it was either 5-issue miniseries, and then an adaptation of Child's Play 3. That's the end. The two adaptations are technically, fine, possibly slightly better than the movies because they use the art to take advantage of that. And the series, which, as it was custom at the time, is set in between the movies, but because it's original material, it's kind of self-contained and it ends at the same point where the previous movie ended. In this case, at the end of Child's Play 2, where, Chucky is still dead by a different reason. And the original stories that it had are actually not that bad. You'll be interested to know, Shirei, that the actual writer of these, which I know that because he worked also on some Nightmare on Elm Street adaptations, is an actual other LGBT activist called Andy Mangles, born in 1966. So as you can imagine, some themes are still present also in this series. Not that much, but they're present. Unfortunately, this has to be compensated by the fact that Innovation really not a very good artist, and the art overall kind of sucks as a result. Basically, bottom line is, despite that, the actual, comics themselves are not that bad, and I would recommend, for a casual reading, not necessarily for commentary, but casual reading of the actual original mini-series, because it offers some interesting themes, like the first issue is Chucky actually being rescued by a cult that actually tries to, summon the soul of the guy that betrayed Charles at the beginning, so that they could, try to find a way to resurrect him. Yeah, basically, Charles abandoned the plans of going after, Andy for the series to basically go on. Again, it offers a bunch of original stories that are not too bad. Although, if I recall correctly, in one of the issues, the detective character from the first movie gets killed. So,
which that's actually an interesting segue to bring up, because one thing I forgot to bring up in the trivia was, get this, originally, Chris Sarandon was supposed to reprise his role from the first Child's Play film for Seed of Chucky. Basically, he plays, the detective from the first movie, essentially. But the thing is, he had to turn it down because of a scheduling conflict, so I guess to give credit, they would have somehow worked in that Detective Mike Norris somehow ended up in Hollywood, I guess, to pursue Charles Lee Ray, which, I guess, to be fair, one has to wonder, why hasn't he been looking into all these other cases that just happened to include a doll at the scene of the crime?
Oh, well. But, yeah, that's basically just me on that.
Yeah, although I do think I enjoyed A Bride more. This is still very good. I don't know if that's changed from the tier list that me and Pedro went through, but yeah, this is still a good one. And again, this is like specific things they were saying all the way back in 2004. People can stay mad, I guess. It's still like a little iffy here and there, but it's not really bad at all. But it's like the humor and everything is still good. Jennifer Tilly is one of the best things to happen to this franchise.
Yep.
Obviously.
And yeah, this isn't the last we'll see of her or Glen and Glenda. Watch the TV series. I need to watch more of it myself. I've only seen the first season and a little bit of the second. So yeah, I need to continue with that. A lot flashier than I remember it being.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't watch a lot of it. Not as bad as the ending to the third movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
That was worse.
I still think Bride so far has the higher amount. Well, this is coming closer, you ask me.
Oh yeah, like Bride is probably my top tier of what we've covered so far.
That's not what I was referring to, Jova.
You said highest
The
amount.
Flashing Thunder.
Oh,
Yeah.
that.
But I think that's it. These movies are still very good.
All right, I'll go next. Okay, judging this movie for me is a bit difficult. Not necessarily for the LGBT plus themes. I can tell you that if I watched this movie back when it came out in 2004, I definitely wouldn't have the judgment to actually properly process all of this. So I'm kind of glad that I just watched it now. But still, that's technically fine. If anything, it's kind of interesting to see this kind of angle, especially for a character like Chucky. And I also don't mind too much the comedy. I as attested by the commentary, I had a laugh, with when the comedy popped up, and I've seen far worse comedy, especially those done around this time. As a reminder, I'm one of the 4 souls that actually went to see in theaters both epic movie and disaster movie, and let me tell you, easily the worst that I have wasted the money upon for a movie. Holy fuck!
Wow,
what was
really
I thinking?
that bad?
Yes, I'm just gonna say that, Jova. I don't think they're even worth watching commentary. There's only so far I can say this is not funny and I hate this. I guess maybe drinking myself under the table, but sure, I guess. But that's not.
Sorry.
Go on.
For me, it's probably still Sucker Punch, because remember, with Sucker Punch, I literally had to leave the theater because I didn't want my ears to go deaf.
That's the thing, Pedro. At least the Sucker Punch is trying to tell an original story to some degree. Epic movie and disaster movie don't even do that. The Salzburg hell has no bound, basically. That's the problem. But again, don't want to get too much into other movies. As for this one, like I said, I like the themes of transgenderism that are present here, and I like the comedy, technically, on paper at least. But I can kind of understand why people were aliened out, because again, let's sum up how the series has been so far. Chucky goes to someone, wants to possess their body, gets stopped at the end, technically on paper. We had this for the first 3 movies tied to poor Andy, which is currently in jail, I guess, right now. okay, so now we want to have a new fresh start with Bride. So we do, we pick up a new character, and have a sort of a road trip tied to the people around, this character, but it's still following the same thing as the first three movie, okay? So then comes this one, and out of nowhere we get a satire about the Hollywood panorama, kind of out of nowhere. I kind of get the idea why people get aliened out. Again, not by the quality of the comedy, but for, the background involving this movie. It borderline almost feels like Don and the people just wanted to kind of give up. Even considering the original pitch about the Psycho, parallel, felt also still something completely, different. And I get the idea that's one of the problems, at least so far, of the movie, which, for what I understand, is kind of continue also with the next. The following movie almost completely drops whatever the previous one had established towards the end, and maybe only later it will be reprised, with stuff like, I guess, the series. But again, it feels like it feels like this should be more of an anthology rather than, an actual continuing saga. Sure, I get it, it's comedy-based, and Chucky's kind of a silly character, especially compared to someone like Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. But it still feels weird. It kind of reminds me a bit how Hellraiser had, still with the direct-to-video, sequels, had still a general idea, and then comes Hellworld, this rape party organized with a flash game, That's the kind of whiplash, that's what I mean.
I can help you too, because Don has actually explained in interviews why he keeps changing the direction. He wants to keep the franchise from getting stale. Again, basically doing what Jay was talking about earlier. Don even said specifically in an interview, and I'm quoting him, "I would rather risk alienating some fans over letting the franchise get stale." So the constant shifts, they're an attempt to keep the franchise fresh.
It's definitely a style I picked up with Dancing, because I will just say this. While Cult finally starts to bring back the sense of continuity, Seed, okay, not as much Seed, but Curse really just feel like it's off in its own world, essentially. Curse is, again, Curse, I recall Curse being better than Free, but Curse definitely feels the most separated from all the other movies. You'll see what I mean when
you get to the end.
Oh yes, really. oh yeah. When you get to the end, but for a lot of it, it really feels separated. Like it feels also different in tone to the others. But again, I won't talk.
Intentional.
Yeah. It's intentional, but I can get how that might make it feel weird to some people. Is the point?
Anyway, I don't mind that kind of statement. After all, if I don't like it, I probably should have stopped watching also Zack Snyder films when you get down to it. Because that's the kind of mentality, same kind of mentality. But I will say this again. I did not have a problem until this point with that kind of thing outside of acknowledging the fact that we kind of just dropped that. But it really just feels that we stopped kind of still following, a movie series, and right now we just heard Don ranting about the state of Hollywood instead of actually, wanting to just tell a story, which, sure, I get it, but I can kind of understand why Universal did wanted to drop from the project, unless it was really just for the LGBT plus thing, which I can believe, but I can also believe at least one of the executives of Universal possibly looked at this version of the script and was like, Don, don't you think that people, might get whiplash out of this, And this is what happened. So I will say this. I technically am fine with the movie overall, even if I still prefer Bride as part of this new series. But I would also want to mention that around the same year, aside from the movies that I did mention, and I was telling also when Jova talked about, this was the year where in Halloween, Saw make its first appearance. And I would like to think about the mentality. This is me, Prater, and Blaze commented on the first one. We have a new type of indie, back then at least, a type of horror movie centered, very serious, centered around, a small room where two people are tied up, and despite potential silliness or over-the-top violence, it's still taking itself very seriously with a low budget, and it's, seen as a big groundbreaking thing for the horror genre. and then it's followed up by the fifth movie in a franchise, which veers over more onto the comedy, and it gets the idea that to people that it might be feel stale. I kind of get the idea why not many people went to see this movie in theaters.
It's a shame that the deck was set against it in that regard.
It's well, okay. Again, even aside from Saw itself, which, like I just said, this movie was sandwiched in a fuck ton of releases at the same time. Like I said, the one thing that I didn't mention at the beginning of the month, there was also The Incredibles, being released. So between that, stuff like Polar Express, and The First National Treasure, pretty much the E for Everyone marketing was dominating the cinema in November, 2004. So I'm not even sure why did not they release this in October. It probably would have done better, Again, it really just backfired. But again, that's mostly my speculation about the reason why this movie, failed at the box office and, was not really critically acclaimed, at least back then. Yes, again, thanks to its LGBT plus theme, it has managed to survive better to this day. But like I said, even despite my personal opinion, I can see why this was considered for a long time the black sheep of a franchise, Again, not much more to add, but because the others also have said stuff, Jennifer Tilly is still great, the voice acting is general, Billy Boyd, I liked him in Lord of the Rings, so it's nice to see him in a role that I wasn't even expecting. Again, I did not check too much into his career, so I actually did not know about his role as Glen/Glenda, but it's still relatively nice. Again, you can kind of tell that the people involved with this, were there just for fun, which, it's a cornerstone of a lot of, horror movies, which I guess, it's part of the themes. You're portraying something that would be normally so dehumanizing, disgusting, and something that in real life, it's just traumatic to people. So you're basically, creating an environment that, can, live the spirits, so to speak. I guess that's not much more to add aside from the score that it's there. I don't really see anything memorable in this. A lot of times, some of the licensed songs just felt entering one ear, exiting the other. And the flashing lights, while not as prevalent as Bride, they continue to be a nuisance. I genuinely hope that the following movies, will drop this considerably, considering, it took a lot of time to be made. Those took a lot of time to be made. Yes, Jova.
I should warn you, there's a ton of lightning in Curse.
Again, it's not a problem for me, but it's also as she stated, it can genuinely be a problem. Again, even if it's not a problem for me, it's just mildly annoying at best. I get the idea back when it was still the craze. It was still again, aside from simulating a thunderstorm, it would be just to create attention, transitioning from one scene to another, for example, create a flashbang kind of effect. The problem is that this is the kind of effect that is aged possibly for the worst in terms of Hollywood specialties. But again, possible hindsight, who knows? We'll have to see how the future pans.
If it helps you, Curse of Chucky is Shiroi's favorite.
Well, okay, I guess. But again, we're here for the long run anyway. For that,
and
I can still like on.
I want to give credit. There are some directors who do find, productive ways to use lightning. Sam Raimi
like
still.
Ball. Oh, sorry.
Sam Raimi was who I had in mind, actually, who uses that productively. Screw Uwe Ball.
I mean, it was just one joke in Alone in the Dark. It's not really a recurring thing for him. I can tell you that.
The flickering lights, which, well, given his budgets, wouldn't be surprised if he uses flickering lights to simulate lightning.
But again, we're going off topic. To conclude, honestly, despite the fact that I am perfectly fine with this movie and the kind of themes and the comedy that it had, I still have to state my regular statement that this is really a franchise that probably overall is not really for me, as I prefer more horror, traditional horror, slashers like Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser, and Friday the 13th. And despite all of the problems that they had, especially in later entries.
That does actually make me want to ask you, though, like, given that Nightmare definitely went on a more satirical route itself, culminating in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, what would you say did it better for you there than in this?
I think Wes Craven's New Nightmare, first of all, felt the need to literally take the franchise, pull it away from the comedy that it had, and place it squarely on a binary system about seriousness. Because Wes Craven's New Nightmare barely has any comedy, almost at all. You can kind of tell that Wes Craven was super pissed at what Hollywood and New Line Cinema had done to his franchise, and wanted to get back on track. And again, I still enjoy, stuff like Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, but I can kind of understand, the veering, the degeneration that a franchise can have potentially. I don't think it's super much of a case here, but I can tell again, this was trying to be both Wes Craven New Nightmare and something like Scream, at the same time. Like I said, my personal opinion is different than that, but I can see why people went to see different things and did not have super high opinion on this. But again, that's what this franchise overall has been, kind of a roller coaster. We'll see what happens in the future. Pedro.
Well, I'll tell you, like in Curse of Chucky, we have the darkest of the movies, so we'll see how we think about that one. But basically, Joe, but the reason it took 9 years to get a new movie was because, again, the reboot was originally announced in 2008 by Don and David Kirshner, and for the reasons that we already just discussed, that didn't happen. So basically, the reason Curse took so long is because, well, Don spent a few years working on the reboot.
And it's ironic.
It was quite literally a curse. So.
And it's ironic because the reboot came out after Curse.
Mm-hmm.
So in Curse trying to make the reboot that was supposed to become, the new franchise, they ended up taking so long with the reboot that it ended up coming in between installments of the original franchise, which was still going. What a conundrum.
I think the reason they didn't make a sequel to the reboot is because, despite it being technically successful, it's probably because it didn't really have the impact and good reception that they wanted.
And knowing that the Chucky series was still going, God, can you imagine it trying to go up against? Well, okay, I guess technically by that time the movies were direct to video, and later on we'd be getting a television series, so maybe it wouldn't have been competing directly with it, but I don't know. I definitely could see it being pitted against one another by the fans at the very least, which probably would not have fared in the reboot's favor.
I can tell you that the Chucky fans in general were just not interested in watching any more from this reboot, to be honest. We would just rather keep watching Dawn's proper Chucky.
You know what? I don't blame you. Like, I may like the reboot, but I can definitely also acknowledge that the reboot is drastically different from, Child's Play and, the Chucky series at that point. And, like, if you're into the Chucky series for its specific mannerisms, the reboot wasn't going to cut it.
It's because Chucky's not even a character in that movie, and that kind of defeats the whole point. It's just missing the point entirely, like I said. And like I said in our commentary, Mark, I love you, but you're not Chucky. Brad Dourif is Chucky. Anyway, me. I still really enjoy the movie. It's a lot of fun. It's my favorite Chucky movie. But I'll still take it over Free, definitely. As for comparing this to Bride, honestly, I think I'll argue both are on the same level, personally, for me. I don't really necessarily have... Yeah, you can make an argument that Bride is better made in general, but honestly, I think I enjoy both of them on an equal ground. They feel like a duology in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, like I said, I kind of consider them the Tiffany duology in a sense.
I guess. That being said, like I said, the LGBT elements are great. The comedy is really fun. The voice acting is fantastic. The acting in general is great. And I really, again, I like the meta aspect, again, because it's funny. That's the main reason. If this movie was unfunny, I would be singing a completely different tune, because what makes it easy for me to just roll with it is because the comedy is actually funny.
Mm-hmm.
which is not what I can say for some other horror franchises like Theo was talking about that tried to go comedic and didn't do it well. I will argue this franchise so far has done well with that. As for the whole jarring aspect of the Hollywood commentary that Theo was talking about, I guess you can put it away. Personally, I don't mind it. I feel like the Hollywood commentary not really too prevalent in my opinion. I think the focus is still, I will argue, on Chucky and Tiffany's antics. And I do like the fact that it started a new direction for Chucky's character, where he's fully embraced his killer doll identity. You know, although it's enjoyable. But I do understand at the time that a lot of the older fans didn't really like how the franchise has completely gone off the direction of the first two movies, especially the second, because the second movie is still the fan favorite, which is why the first season of the TV show went out of its way to match that movie as much as possible. Because Don is not an idiot. Don listens to the fans. In fact, it says right here, Jova, allow me to quote, that original reboot written by him would have been, and I quote, a sequel as a response to the will of the fans, who, quote unquote, want to see a scary Chucky movie again, to go back to the straightforward horror rather than the horror comedy. So yeah, and Don just did that exactly, which is something that I definitely appreciate, because I always get absolutely bothered personally. I have a personal pet peeve with executives who know what the fans want, and then instead of just saying either I don't want to or instead they come up with some silly, stupid roundabout excuses of why they won't do it.
Well, Pedro, the chart says.
No, it's not even important. Okay.
The chart and focus test groups told us that no, that would not be the way that makes us the most money.
It's stuff like people saying, we have no plans, and maybe we can do it if the opportunity arises. Well, the opportunity arising is the fact that the fans are asking. That's your opportunity. Just either say no or do it, or just give an outright no, instead of doing a roundabout excuse that, just because you don't want to say, you don't have the balls to say no, I'm not going to do that. But whatever. The point is, I appreciate Don's listen to the fans, because Curse of Chuck. Well, my personal favorite is still Child's Play 2, because I grew up with that one. I will argue that I side with Shiroi. When it comes to the best horror movie of this franchise, I will definitely pick Curse of Chucky. It's really great. It's explicit in Mansion, and the scary aspect is, I think, the best executed in that particular movie. It's So this is a really good movie, not my favorite. But I still really enjoyed it. Even 2004, I enjoyed it, honestly, because, again, it's funny. That's the one major reason why I enjoyed this movie, because it's a comedy, yes, but at the very least, it's actually funny.
Mm-hmm. And you certainly do get your kills, too.
Sure.
I'll give this series one credit. It did not fall to the trap a lot of horror series fell to around this time. The PG-13 trap, essentially.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that too.
Pretty much almost all the greats eventually went PG-13, because we gotta sell it to more people.
Ugh. I'm really hoping we get a season 4 of the show, because I don't think we've heard anything
Didn't
yet.
season 3 came out this year?
Well, it was supposed to be all last year, too, but the second half of the season was delayed because of the writer's strike.
So they
right.
sort of did a Breaking Bad season 5 deal where we got half of it last year, and we're getting the final half this year.
No, we already got the second half early this year.
Java, it's not a case like Netflix breaking up a product into two different parts and selling them as different seasons. I get the idea this case was more genuine.
Oh, yeah. And, to be fair, even with Breaking Bad, it was season 5A and season 5B, so still the same season. My question is, did season 3 end in a way that suggests it could be the end, or did they once again, hint at a fourth season?
Yes. Season 3 literally ends with Chucky pitching season 4 to you.
Beautiful.
Don said, "There's very little I can say about season 4. I can't tell you my idea for it, but I'm really excited about it. I already pitched it to the network, so fingers crossed because it's something I really like to do. From what I can tell, the show has been successful on Amazon Prime, so I don't, and as well as the Sci-Fi Channel.
And
so
so far, the Amazon Prime seems to be more accepting, not killing stillborn franchise like Netflix does.
Hell,
So we'll have to see.
Hell, to the point where they literally rescued Batman Caped Crusader when Warner Brothers were gonna axe that. So yeah.
That being said, since season 3 technically just ended because of the delay, right? I guess it's going to be a bit more. It would have been nice because up until this point, all seasons of the show have aired during October because Halloween, right? But because of the whole thing with the writer's strike, we had to air the rest of season 3 on May of this year.
Alas.
So obviously season 4 could not be produced in time for this October. So my guess is maybe they're saving it for next year at this point.
It would be cool if they at least announce in October the 4th season.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, Don said that he already pitched it. It's a matter of waiting for the show, so for the studio to greenlight it.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, well, obviously that's assuming it gets greenlit, but, like, if it does, it would be cool if they, like, gave some sort of special announcement of it in October, just to cover for not having a season release in October.
It would be nice. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Anything else?
As long as Brad is willing to continue playing the character, I want more because I cannot get enough of this franchise. But yeah, this was fun. That being said, everybody, we're going to take a detour again because, like I've explained to Teo, Don doesn't want the franchise to stay in one direction for too long to avoid staleness. So, and the fans have, and regardless of what we think about this movie, the fans have spoken. The fans want a return to a more serious, scary Chucky movie, just like the first two. Curse of Chucky.
That's for next year, however, because for the time being, Dweebs told me that next time we have to instead go to Japan, because there's something in the water that we need to investigate.
One could say it's God bringing down his vengeance, or Zilla of sorts.
I told about Zack Snyder to be out of this picture now. See ya.
See ya.
Ta-ta.